There is a strange paradox in life. Sometimes the moment everyone walks away is the exact moment your real life begins. Not when you're surrounded by support, not when everything is easy, but when the room goes silent, the phone stops ringing, and suddenly you realize the only one left beside you is God. And that changes everything. In a quiet American town, there lived a man named Daniel. He wasn't rich or famous, but people trusted him. He worked with his hands. His father had owned a small auto repair garage at the edge of town. Nothing fancy, just 2 lifts, a wooden desk, and tools worn smooth by decades of hard work. Growing up, Daniel spent every afternoon there. His father taught him more than how to fix engines. He taught him patience, responsibility, and the quiet pride of building something honest. "Son," his father used to say, "people don't remember how big your garage was. They remember how you treated them." For years, life was simple. Until one winter morning, everything changed when his father passed away unexpectedly. The man who had been the center of his world was gone. The garage felt different after that. Quieter, heavier. But Daniel believed his family would stand with him. Or at least, that's what he thought. 3 days after the funeral, Daniel's older brothers came to the garage. Not to help, but with paperwork. Their father had left the property to all 3 sons, but the brothers had already decided to sell it to developers. Daniel tried to reason with them. "This place is Dad's legacy," he said quietly. "You're too emotional," the oldest brother replied. "Business is business." Within weeks, the garage was gone, sold, demolished, and Daniel was left with a small, run-down trailer outside town that technically counted as his share. No tools, no shop, no plan, just silence. At first, Daniel tried to keep his life together. He called old friends who used to stop by the garage. But something strange happens when you lose everything. People slowly disappear. Not all at once, just little by little. Phone calls stop getting returned. Invitations stop coming. And one night, he walked into a local diner and saw his old friends laughing together. For a moment, he felt hope. Maybe they'd pull up a chair for him. But when they noticed him, the laughter faded. One nodded awkwardly. Another suddenly looked at his phone. And no one said a word. Daniel stood there, feeling like a stranger in his own town. Then he quietly walked out. That night, sitting alone in his trailer, listening to the wind rattle the thin metal walls, he asked a question many secretly ask. What am I supposed to do now? Sometimes the most important moments in life don't come with noise. They come in silence. That night, Daniel sat at the small kitchen table. The world felt empty. No family, no friends, no garage. Everything gone. Then something unexpected happened. There was no booming voice, no sudden miracle, just a quiet thought that settled into his mind. You're still here. Daniel slowly looked around the small, broken room. It was his. And for the first time in weeks, he prayed. God, he whispered, I don't need everything back. I just need the strength to start again. The next morning, Daniel woke up before sunrise. Not because life had suddenly become easy, but because something inside him had shifted. If no one was coming to save him, he would start building again. He cleared space beside the trailer. Using scrap wood and old metal pieces, he built a small workbench, then a tool rack. He bought second-hand tools whenever he could. The progress was slow. Some days he questioned everything. Some days the loneliness felt unbearable. But every morning he woke up and repeated the same quiet promise: just keep going. Weeks turned into months, and slowly, something began to grow. One afternoon, a pickup truck broke down on the highway near Daniel's trailer. The driver knocked on his door. "You know anything about engines?" the man asked. Daniel smiled. "A little." He spent 3 hours fixing the truck, using basic tools and pure determination. When the engine finally roared back to life, the driver looked at him with newfound respect. "You should have a shop," the man said. Daniel simply shrugged. "Working on it." But the man told others, and in small towns, word spreads fast. Soon another car arrived, then another. Daniel didn't have a big garage, but he had something more important: skill, honesty, and patience. Years passed. The small workbench turned into a real workshop, then a proper garage. Not the one his father had owned, but something new, something he had built from nothing. People began driving from nearby towns just to have Daniel work on their cars. Not because he was the cheapest, but because he was the most trustworthy. And one afternoon, something unexpected happened. 2 familiar faces walked into the garage. His brothers. They looked different now, less confident, less certain. "We heard about the business," one of them said quietly. Then he added something Daniel never expected to hear. "We were wrong." For a moment, the old pain resurfaced. But Daniel didn't hold on to it, because he had learned something powerful during the years he spent alone. Bitterness builds nothing. Peace builds everything. So he simply nodded. "It worked out," he said. Daniel never became the richest man in the state. He never owned dozens of garages. But he became something far more valuable: a man at peace. Because he had discovered a truth most people only learn after losing everything. Sometimes God removes everyone else so you can finally discover who you were meant to be. And if you're watching this today feeling abandoned, remember this: loneliness is not always punishment. Sometimes it is preparation. Because when the world walks away, God often steps closer. If this story brought you value today, consider subscribing to Tales in Life. Because every story we share here carries a lesson. And sometimes the story you hear today is exactly the one your heart needed. We'll see you in the next one.